3, 2, 1. And we are live. Alright guys, welcome back to the live stream. Let me just adjust my camera over here so you don't see just half a bald face. That is not sufficient for a live stream. So yes, this almost did not happen. However, now we are up live, not only on YouTube, but on Rumble as well. It took me half an hour to figure out all the stream keys, but now it seems to work. Thank God. That's amazing. Alright guys, so as the title already says, Ask Me Anything. Today will be a short live stream. With short, I'm talking about 1 hour tops. Now with this delay especially, definitely 1 hour tops. I wanted simply to see if my internet connection will be sufficient, because if you follow this channel and you saw last week's live stream, or was it already 2 weeks ago? I'm not too certain by this point. However, we tried to do a live panel, and that was a catastrophe. Unfortunately, because the guests on the stream were absolutely amazing, man. I was expecting trolls, I was expecting haters. We got nothing. We just got absolutely amazing supporters here on the stream. It was a fantastic discussion. However, it was lagging so bad, and that was due to my part. Unfortunately, I know it sounds almost unthinkable to the modern world, but in this little flat here, which I'm renting out on the side, that I'm using as an office basically, I don't have Wi-Fi, believe it or not. Yes, and therefore I'm using my hotspot. Here you go. And yeah, due to this hotspot, I downloaded the best package and the biggest broadband, etc., you name it. However, that doesn't apply for uploads, just for downloads, because most people are not streamers, right? And yeah, not the best solution. Anyways, be that as it may, now we are live here on YouTube and on Rumble. People say I'm offline on Rumble. Let me double check. I'm pretty certain that it's up and running on Rumble as well. Let me see. It says I am streaming on Rumble, but it doesn't show anything. Of course, that would be just too great, wouldn't it? If we would actually have everything up and running, that would be such a miracle. By the way, 6,000 subscribers on Rumble. That's quite amazing. So more and more people are tuning in to Rumble as well, even though yours truly is delivering absolutely a poor performance, I have to admit. That's amazing. Yeah, well, we will have to figure that out with Rumble as well. As for right now, it is up and running on YouTube, so at least that is something. As I was saying, you can ask me anything, guys. As always, of course, super chats and Streamlabs donations will be prioritized. On that note, if you are using Streamlabs, please let me know if it works, because many people complained about, that the donation doesn't go through apparently. So please let me know if it works. That would be awesome. And other than that, super chats always do work. I will try to answer as many questions from the comment section, from the chat, as possible, of course. People always blame me that I'm not doing that. Guys, when you're getting super chat after super chat, then obviously you prioritize the super chat, because those people are actually supporting the channel, and therefore they get their questions answered immediately. That is understandable, isn't it? Okay. I have a question here that I find quite interesting. It is, Bobby, are you a Shia or a Sunni brother? So I am neither. And I would say that this is quite the privilege of reverting to Islam. So I haven't been born into a Sunni family or a Shia family. And therefore I can say that I am a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. Right? So therefore, I mean, this is even something that most Sunnis will say. Even when I talk to Sheikh Uthman, for example, he said that the Prophet was neither, right? Of course, when it comes down to where does the truthful knowledge come from, etc., etc. We have to make our choices. But nevertheless, I am not in one camp or the other. To be quite frank, I simply have no interest at all in labeling as such, especially because I come from an Orthodox Christian background, and the name already says it, right? Orthodox Christian. So that means I already was part of a particular church. I still, even though I'm not an Orthodox Christian any longer, will make the claim and the argument that the Orthodox Church is the first true Christian church after the canonization and after, let's say establishing what it means to be a Christian. There are many, many ways you can attack the validity of the Orthodox Church as well, but nevertheless, if we're talking about church Christianity, I still stand with my argument. Ui, this is loud. Let me tone this down. Thank you very much for the donation. I'm going to read out in a second, my friend. As I was saying, so I still stand with my claim as valid that the Orthodox Church is the real Christian church, if you will. But nevertheless, if you look into certain claims of the Protestants or the Catholics for that matter, you can always find perspectives that have a truth to them. And yeah, ultimately my question became, what is the real religion of Christ? Spoiler alert, I couldn't find it within Christianity at all. But I could found it even to lesser an extent within a particular church. And that's what I learned, right? And so therefore, I am sure that the Shia side, for example, has many valuable things to say as well. So I've seen certain practices within the Shia sects, branches, which I personally don't find compelling, let's put it that way. And I don't think that this is necessarily even something that God would ask of me when we're coming down, for example, to the practice of flocking yourself, hurting yourself, shedding your own blood, etc., etc. So from those practices, I would clearly take a lot of distance. That's just how I see it. No offense here, dear Shias, but it's just something that I personally would never resonate with. The Catholics did something similar to that. They were punishing their own flesh, their own sinful flesh. And yeah, that never resonated with me either, right? So that is that. However, if we're speaking about certain historical aspects, certain theological aspects, hey, I am absolutely open to hear both sides. I mean, after all, I let go of my previous biases of being an Orthodox Christian and I found Islam, alhamdulillah. So therefore, I'm really not set in my ways and I can't listen to any perspective. I'm sure there is many valuable insight in both branches. However, ultimately, I see myself as a Muslim and I'm very, very happy about that because this is really the quintessence of the Quran for me, right? The distinction between believer and non-believer, and a believer is someone that submits his will to God alone with no partners attached, and a non-believer is obviously the opposite to that. So that is how I see Islam, very, very simple. Then we have the 5 pillars of Islam, of course, and that is how I want to be addressed, right, as a believer, as a Muslim, and not any further as a Sunni or as a Shia. I have absolutely no interest in that whatsoever. And the Quran warns us against sectarianism, right? So, yeah, I really don't see a point in it at all. And yeah, one more thing on that note, because many people will say that, especially a lot of Salafis will say that, right? They will say, yeah, well, only one sect goes to heaven based upon a hadith, and all the rest are doomed to hell, and must be the rightful sect, right? And for me, that is something that I, again, am very, very familiar with, coming from an Orthodox Christian perspective, because the word Orthodox already implies it, right? In Macedonian, we say pravoslavno, which means the right faith, right? This is the correct faith, this is the right faith. And therefore, growing up in an Orthodox Christian family, just by the name of it, I assumed, yeah, well, this is of course the right faith. It says it, right? It says it on the label. It is the Orthodox Christian faith. This is the correct one. So who am I to look any further? And yeah, the same claim is of course voiced within Islamic communities, sects, etc., you name it. And this is where I'm very, very cautious, right? So I am open to learn. I humbled myself enough by letting go of the religion of my forefathers and parents, and therefore I'm humble enough to learn from all sides and simply see myself as a Muslim. That's it. Okay, now let me get into my dashboard. This will take a second, where I can see the super chats and the Streamlabs donations. Thank you so much, everybody that is supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And yeah, matter of fact, you guys are right. Rumble is not streaming for whatever reason. This is really frustrating, man. But anyways, we're using this here as a test anyways. So inshallah soon I will figure everything out. Boomer Bobby will figure it out one day or another. Okay, let me open up my dashboard. Just 1 second, guys. Any questions, ask me. That being said, I mean, I was hoping that we'll have some controversial questions that we can then answer on Rumble, but we'll postpone that. That being said, you can ask me anything, as the title says. You don't have to strictly ask me about religion, right? Okay. Now, we have a super chat here by Ibrahim Ibn Imad El-Shafi. Thank you very much, bro. In German. Says, hatte dir nach dem letzten Stream Telegram DM geschrieben mit Problemlösung. So he says he wrote me on Telegram with a solution to my problem. My Telegram is a mess. I have plenty of chats open and I follow many different groups as well. So I will look for you. You would have to tell me your name though, because I assume that it's not going to be your full name here. So let me know what your name is, and then I will search for it on my Telegram. Thank you very much, bro. Another super chat, I cannot read out that name. I don't know what that is. Donated 100 rupee, thank you. Says, tell something about current Indian Muslims and Indian government. I mean, what is there to say? First and foremost, I have to say that I am not in India, right? So therefore, I can make certain assumptions, but the reality is I am not there. The same applies to, let's say, the Chinese government. We hear a lot of horror stories about China, be it about the surveillance or the, how do you call that thing? This app, social credit app, exactly, where they're getting tracked and they have to obey the government like Big Brother. This is what we hear, right? But I haven't been there. I've been at the airport of China once, and I remember I couldn't use any of my programs. I couldn't use YouTube, I couldn't use Google. My phone was rendered useless, basically. So that was kind of frustrating. But I really do not know how everyday life is in China, because I'm not living there. And so the same applies as well to the Indian government. I cannot say anything about the Indian government because, yeah, I don't know enough about it, right? And when I hear about the treatment of Muslims in India, of course, we hear many, many horror stories, and I can only assume that they're correct. But do I know this truly? I don't. Because if you hear about the rhetoric, for example, from many so-called Christian countries, Western countries, about Muslims within their own countries, you must think this is absolutely horrendous, right? The worst thing ever. Is it truly the reality? That's a different question. And that's why. So I refrain myself from answering to questions in which I simply do not know enough. Right? That's just the reality of things. I am not in India. If the Muslims in India are truly suppressed, then I would of course say that the immediate neighbors, such as Pakistan, have to help. That's the duty of the Ummah. But I am not there, so therefore I cannot really tell. That's basically what it boils down to. Ibrahim Ibn Imad El-Shafi, $2, thank you very much again, bro. Wie du findest das geile Selbstauspeitschen nicht mega geil, Kappa? Yeah, so he's talking about the Shias and he's asking me how am I not finding it absolutely amazing to flog myself, right? That's so strange. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Again, listen, I can make a cheeky comment after a cheeky comment here. The reality is as well, I'm pretty ignorant on the Shia side of things. However, I talked to Shias, many very, very nice people, but I haven't been convinced of that particular argument. Let me put it this way. Yet again, I do not put myself into any camp, not the Sunni nor the Shia. I see myself as a Muslim. However, the arguments from the Sunni side make much more sense to me. They make much more sense to me when it comes down to Tawheed. When it comes down to the pure monotheism, I don't really see it as much in Shiism. In some branches of Shiism, I'm not saying all of them are like that, but in some of them I see basically an Ali worship, right? And that reminds me yet again of Christianity. I've been there before, this absolute deification of a human. And I don't resonate with that. Again, that being said, could it potentially be that the Shia side is right on certain historical events? It could be. I haven't been there. I don't know. Right? So I truly do not know what has happened in the past. And to be honest, nobody does. Right? I'm certain that the Shias will have their claims and their sources. And by those sources and claims, they will come to the deduction that certain things happened in the past. And the same will apply to the Sunnis. But this is a political dispute, and therefore, when we're talking about sectarianism within Islam itself, to then branch further into a sect that is based upon a historical political event, for me is an absolute no-go. I'm really telling you this, right? But either way, so if I would see a very strong political stance behind the Sunni movement, that would be a no-go as well. For me, again, it boils down to essentially what has been revealed to Prophet Muhammad. That's what I stick with. That's it. Nahil bin Shihab donated 500 DZD. I don't know what it is. And he says, wrong assumption to say all other sects are doomed to hell, but they differ in the gravity of their deviations in Aqidah. Again, guys, I'm learning. However, I've seen this hadith being quoted, and it says about that, yeah, everybody else will be in hell. Actually, let me look it up. Let me find it. Hadith on sects in Islam being in hell. Yeah, here we go. Fantastic. The first hit. That's amazing. I'll try to open this up. Thank you very much. Like so. That should be good to read. Let me just make this smaller like this. Okay, 1 second. This comes from the Al Medina Institute, defining the Muslim mainstream, who are the saved and who are the condemned, I guess. By him in whose hand is my soul, my ummah will split into 73 sects. 1 will enter paradise, and 72 will enter hell. This is from Abu Dawood Tirmidhi. The companions asked the Prophet ﷺ who the group which entered paradise would be. And he gave a clear answer that gives some peace of heart to the believers. Let's even click on this. Let's check this out. He replied, Al-Jama'ah, the largest one. He gave an empirical answer that is objective, not subjective, and easily discernible. One might wonder if the Ummah of Muhammad divides into 73 groups, more than the Jews and Christians. Does that mean there is less clarity in the message and that the Jews and Christians did a better job of keeping their people together? No, because the point to remember here is that the sects of the previous religions are large and vast, while their saved sect is narrow and slim, usually those who were surrounding the prophets at their time. In contrast, 1 second, I have to actually get into this, because this was the claim for Orthodox Christianity back in the day when I was an Orthodox Christian, as I said. Because for me it wasn't about, okay, who is the majority here, what is the majority opinion, who really cares, right? If we go back into the last couple of years here and it comes down to certain medication and whatnot, the vast majority of people were absolute idiots. The same applies to nutritional sciences, for example. The majority of people believes that you have to eat cornflakes for breakfast in order to be healthy. It's absolutely insane. So I am somewhat of a contrarian, if you will, and I don't really care for the broad mainstream. And I'm quite open, let's say, to look into the niches, to look into the hidden knowledge, if you will. And that was the claim with Orthodox Christianity, because Orthodox Christianity is almost the smallest branch of Christianity nowadays. But still, to this very day, I hold the position that is the only true church within church Christianity. Not making it the true religion, but at least when it comes down to Christianity, I say those are the most based guys there is. Nevertheless, when it comes down to Al-Jama'ah here, it is apparently the biggest group. So let's continue. In contrast, this Ummah has a lot of rahmah. The sects are there, as the Prophet said, they will mimic the sects of the Jews and Christians, copy them, and adopt their ideas. However, the difference is that in the Ummah of Islam, these people are in the minority and will always be in the minority. The history of sects of Islam has groups like the Jabriya, but even though these sects are in the books, there were only a small number of people. Yeah, this is quite interesting. I mean, in a way, it is an appeal to majority, if you will, but we of course have to take the words of the Prophet. If this here is indeed reliable, I have no idea. You guys have to tell me. If this is so, then by the majority of followers, we could know which the truthful sect is. However, I don't really believe that it's that easy, because if you really think about it, as I said, the claim oftentimes is made by Salafis, right? But Salafis are not the majority. So now you could say, yeah, but Salafi falls under Sunni. But well, then there is no real need in further dividing and further splitting, right? Because the largest body of Islam would be Sunniism, if you will. Okay, fair enough, it's like 90%. However, I don't really believe that this is the sectarianism that the Quran spoke of, or that Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, spoke of either. Because we see further splitting within those two major sects, right? And therefore nowadays we see, as I said, for example, the Salafis that make the claim, okay, we follow the truthful message here, but wouldn't you agree with me in saying that Salafism itself is already yet again another sect and is most definitely not the majority? Right, that's the way I see it. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the super chats. Thank you very much, guys. Let me check this out. And let me know what you think in the chat. So with this claim to majority opinion, who is really the majority? Ibrahim donated again. Thank you, bro. Says Telegram Ibrahim Imat in deiner Insider-Telegram. Ah, okay. Alles klar, Bruder. Ich guck nach. Danke dir. Javid donated a bunch of times. Let me read out all of his chats. Was a Wagner group leader assassinated on the plane crash by Putin? Bro, you're asking me something I have absolutely no clue about. I have heard nothing. No plane crash, no Wagner group leader, nothing. I really cannot speak about that. I've been in full daddy mode. And no, my daughter still has not been born, but inshallah it should happen any day now. So we're still waiting for it. I use credit card points to pay you. I hope it's not too haram. I mean, that's basically haram. Credit cards in general are haram because, yeah, it's based upon interest. But that being said, I mean, it is what it is. We have another hadith in which it says that the dust of riba, the dust of interest, will be inescapable in the future, right? And that's just how it goes. I mean, people donate, people support the way that they can. And in your case, this is credit card points. But yeah, I'm completely honest here. Credit cards themselves are haram. I personally do not use any credit cards on that note, guys. I saw brother Sneeko talking about this. I don't use any credit cards. I use debit cards. So I preload them, and then I pay, and that's that. But is there some sort of fee that sometimes is subtracted? Sure, of course. So when I go, for example, check this out. I have a debit card. And I put my money onto the debit card. Then I go to an ATM here in Thailand. When I go to an ATM here in Thailand, I have to pay a fee of 220 baht. Exactly. And that is, I believe, $7 or something like so. So what am I paying that money for, right? So either way, there is some sort of conversion rate and this and that and blah, 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 and based upon and it never ends, right? So therefore, I'm really doing it as halal as I can. I don't have any loans. I don't take anything up on credit. I don't use a credit card. So that's how I live my life. But ultimately, of course, you will always encounter it. It's inescapable. Inescapable. I mean, Habib said that as well about the UFC, right? The way that he got paid in the UFC, for example. You get paid, and that money comes from somewhere, right? And that is all based upon debt, all based upon interest. It is what it is. It's totally normal. Kamehameha, what is your favorite Dragon Ball Z saga? I have to say the Cyborg saga was my favorite one. When Cell came into the game, it's just... wow, man. On a completely different level. And now I really sound like a nerd. But truly, when Son Goku's son, Son Gohan, becomes Saiyan, Super Saiyan, Ultra Saiyan, totally on a different level, man. The drawing style becomes very hardened. The storyline itself, with traveling to the future, traveling to the past, so complex and so much more than anything could have expected. So the Cyborg saga is my absolute favorite saga. The next question is Dragon Ball Z haram? I guess it would be considered haram. I mean, first and foremost, it has some music, so that would fall under haram, I believe. And other than that, you shouldn't fully draw nature and people itself. So that would be another aspect of haram as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Another aspect of haram would be as well the punching to the face, right? So there are many haram aspects. And if you look into early Dragon Ball, it was extremely sexual. So that's another haram point, for sure. Marbles donated €2, thank you very much. Says Quran about sects, Surah 6, Ayat 159. Please look it up. Okay, I will right now. Give me a second. Is this it? One second, I'm opening up. Let me see, let me see, let me see. Here we go. Okay. Say indeed, I fear, if I should disobey my Lord, the punishment of a tremendous day. Is that it? I don't really see how this is in context with the sects. For those looking for commentary to help with this... okay. Hey, thank you very much for the super chat, I appreciate it, but I really don't understand how this at all is tied to sectarianism. I don't see it, bro. But thank you very much for the donation, nevertheless. I appreciate it. Maybe the wrong surah? Okay. Anyways, I think those were... Now here we go. Javid says, I have a video request. I'd like to see your perspective on the Bill Maher documentary. It's religious. How much you charge for that? First and foremost, I don't charge anything in particular of anyone. But the question is, how long is that documentary? Let me check it. Let me see. John Maher. Is that this atheist guy? No, that's Bill Maher. Okay, so John Maher, a religious. I think I heard about this. Religious, okay. Like ridiculous, right? Bill Maher. So is it... Because when I put in religious, all I see is Bill Maher. But you said... No, it is Bill Maher. Excuse me, man. I read John Maher. Okay. So Bill Maher. This sneaky guy. I can't stand him, man. So he's obviously atheist, anti-Islam, anti-Christianity. I don't know how long this documentary is. Let me see. I can't find the whole thing here on YouTube. The point is, again, Javid, thank you very much. I would like to have a little sit down and just chill out with you guys and watch a documentary. Why not? And then comment whilst we're watching it. That would be pretty cool. But the point of the story is, I am not able, I believe, without being, again, further shadow banned or deleted altogether. Because Bill Maher, whatever his name is obviously a big guy within the Hollywood scene. And therefore, his documentary I couldn't even find here on YouTube. So I guess it's something that you have to pay for in order to watch it. And therefore, if I watch the whole thing here on YouTube, yeah, they will delete the stream. Right? Probably while streaming already. That's why. So I don't think it's a possibility at all. Maybe we could do it on Rumble or so. But yeah, I don't think it's possible at all here on YouTube. And therefore, if you ask me how much would I charge for it, yet again, I wouldn't charge anything for it. I would do it gladly. It seems like fun to me to react to an atheist documentary. However, I don't think it's possible here. So if you guys have any idea if we can do that on Rumble, for example, or so, then let me know. And we'll figure it out. Okay. Thank you very much again, Javid. Ibrahim says, Bill Maher is an absolute Islamophobe. Yeah, absolutely. Didn't I react to Mike Tyson and him? I think I did, right? Let me double check. I reacted to so many things. I can't even remember. Let me see. Bill Maher, Bobby's perspective. I think I did. Yeah, exactly. 3 months ago. That's why I don't remember. Where he talked to Mike Tyson. And he insisted about how oppressive Islam is. I mean, what do you really... how do you really look at such people and take them serious in the first place? Honestly. Those are the people that scream freedom, 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 freedom. Freedom about everything, alright? Things that we cannot name here yet again. But when it comes down to freedom and personal choice of covering, then they're gonna freak out. That is amazing. It surely shows you who is of the devil and who is not. Because those guys will advocate for freedoms of certain things, if you know what I mean, right? But when it comes down to the freedom yet again to dress modestly, nope, cannot have that freedom. Same thing in France, right? Liberté, liberté, vive la France, all that crap, right? And on top of that, within their libertarian worldview and political system, you have the freedom to practice your religion. But now all of a sudden you don't anymore. And moreover, obviously not Islam. So if you want to cover your butt, you can't, right? That's too much. Please show us your butt. It's absolutely insane. So obviously, libertarianism, liberalism, the cry for freedom, the cry for justice, the cry for equality, it is only valid within their worldview as long as it is for something that they seem valuable. Because they are pro, how do I say this again without being censored here? Pro stopping pregnancy, for example, right? They're pro. If you're against that, you're a bigot. You can't even exist within their worldview, right? They're against you and they are violently opposing you because you are pro-life in that sense. That is absolutely unthinkable, right? And the same applies as well with a dress code. Islamically speaking, you want to dress modestly. No, you can't that. Please show us your boobs. Bobs and Vegana now. Otherwise, you're not liberal enough. And that's why. So therefore, yes, we accept you. We accept everybody. We accept Muslims, everybody, Buddhists. But when the Muslims actually want to practice their religion, then you don't accept them. Bunch of hypocrites. Disgusting. Okay. Marbles Donate again says... 159. Man, I have reading issues today. Sorry. Brother Bobby, 6159, please look about sect. Okay, we'll do it now. Apologies for that. I just copied 15 and not 159. Okay, here we go. Let me open this up. 1 second. As always, here we go, here we go, here we go. No, that wasn't the right button. Haha. Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Here we go. Okay, now, surely you have nothing to do with those who have made divisions in their religion and become fractions. The matter is with Allah, and He will indeed tell them in time what they have been doing. Yeah, exactly. I remember this surah, and when I read it, I found it so amazing, man. I was so confirmed in my belief, because when I was reading the Quran, what it brought me back to, as simple as this sounds and ultimately is monotheism. Right? It just brought me back to monotheism, and I was so happy because the Trinity destroyed my faith. When I was a Christian, I absolutely hated the Trinity. Right? I tried to make it work. I tried to stay a Christian. And you see this, what's his name? He's a black guy. He's a Christian as well. And he was kind of anti-Islam, etc., etc. But now he's speaking about Unitarianism. He rejects the Trinity. Now I heard him speak about head coverings and Christian women should cover their hair. So just become a Muslim, man. But anyways, I forgot his name. Was it Young Don? Something like that. But the point of the story is when I was a Christian, it kind of unfolded very, very similar to that as well, right? I read in the Bible that women should cover their hair, that we should not eat swine. All of those things were in the Bible as well, right? And then, of course, the pure monotheism. And when I read the Quran, it just made so much sense. And when I read this about sectarianism, I said, yes, this is really what I want to be. I want to be someone that submits his will to God, nothing more, nothing less. This is a beautiful message. This is what I can accept. And then later on, when I dive deeper into Islam, if you will, or into Islam in this current day and age, you find all of those sects, and I hate it. I really disliked it a lot. And that's why I stay within my stance, and I really do not identify with any particular sect. So no matter where I am, I'm always traveling, etc., etc. I pray anywhere. Up until now, I haven't been in a Shia mosque just for the lack thereof. I would go into a Shia mosque as well. I really don't mind, right? I don't care. I go pray anywhere, and I don't identify with sectarianism, nor do I identify with a particular group therein. As I said, I really have no interest at all in that. That's how I am. I'm just a Muslim. And if that is something that other people that adhere to certain creeds, certain sects have an issue with, then so be it. That's upon them. I am happy the way that it is. Okay. Now another super chat by Javid. You don't have to watch it live. Just watch it and make a video on it. Yes, Bill Maher is an atheist. It's a movie that argues against religion, mostly Jesus. Of course, Jews just hate Jesus. He's an atheist, but he's a Jew. I have not seen religious channels break or debunk the movie. I suppose it's good content for you. Okay, that sounds not too bad, man. Actually, you know what? I want to watch something with my wife anyways. We haven't watched a interesting movie in a long, long time. So let me check it out. And yeah, maybe I can do a summary or something. Even use a little bit of the footage if possible, and do a response to it. That's actually good content, you're right. So, and again, you said, how much would I charge for that? Absolutely nothing, man. Thank you very much for the idea, I appreciate it. And now, that's funny, Meher S donated, so we have a Meher here in the chat. Do you have an Arabic or Islamic name now? First and foremost, it would have to be an Islamic name, of course, not just an Arabic name. But no, I still don't. So suggestions are welcomed. I still have no Arabic or Islamic name. JV donated again, $5, thank you very much. Says, it is 1 hour and 41 minutes. I guess we can watch the trailer together. You can watch it with your wife on your time and tell me on Insta how much you want to be paid. Now again, you can see it here. I really don't want to be paid for that, bro. It's all good, thank you very much. If I take the time, I just watch it with my wife and chill. And that's totally fine, so please. Especially not from you, man. You've been supporting this channel all the time. It will be, I think, quite the audacity now for me to say, yeah, well, just donate more, David. Then I might watch it. Nah, bro, all good, man. All good. Thank you very much. I might check it out once I have the time. Thank you. But yeah, about the Arabic or Islamic name yet again. So first and foremost, yeah, it has to be an Islamic name and not an Arabic name. Let me just put on the AC. I really love the meaning of Abdul al-Haq. That for me is the most beautiful name, the servant of truth. But I'm still waiting it out. I think it's going to come organically at some point. Yeah. So let me know in the comment section in the chat if you have a name for me. Bobby is an Islamic name as long as it does not conflict with it. Yeah, again, I mean, we all know what is meant by an Islamic name, so Bobby is not conflicting, is not going against Islam, so it's all fine, I can keep it. And that being said, even if I take an Islamic name, at least that's my stance right now, of course it might change, but even if I would take an Islamic name, I would take it just as a secondary name. So I wouldn't change my name on paper or insist now to be called that particular name, because I'm a man in my 30s, man. Everybody has been calling me Bobby, it's all good. I have no identity crisis now, and now you have to call me Abdul al-Haq. You have to. Can you do a reaction about the Mandaeism faith? I never heard about that. Mandaeism, very interesting. Let me check. I'm always open to explore other religions. I'm very, very fascinated by religions. Let us have a look what this is. So I see Arabic here already. So apparently it comes from Arabia or something like that. Maybe there is a tide to Islam. Let's have a look. Thank you very much for the donations, guys. Everybody that supports is truly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, let's check this out. Mandaeism. Mandaeism, classical Mandaic, Mandaeia, Arabic, or El Mandaeia, sometimes also known as Nazoranism or Sabianism. Ah, fantastic, man. This is absolutely interesting. Thank you so much for the question. I really, really appreciate it. Let me just adjust this here. Because we hear about the Sabians over and over again, right? In the Quran as well, and I never knew who they are. So let me have a look. This is super interesting. So Sabianism is a Gnostic, monotheistic, and ethnic religion. Okay. Its adherents, the Mandaeans, revere Adam, Abel, Seth, Enos, Noah, Shem, Aram, and especially John the Baptist. Yeah, well, this is very interesting. So it is technically an Abrahamic faith, but at the same time not, because they're not mentioning Abraham. So it's kind of interesting. It's the same lineage, but they're not... Yeah, they don't have Abraham as a prophet. It's very interesting. Mandaeans consider Adam, Seth, Noah, Shem, and John the Baptist prophets, with Adam being the founder of the religion and John being the greatest and final prophet. This is super fascinating. The Mandaeans speak an Eastern Aramaic language known as Mandaic. The name Mandaean comes from the Aramaic manda, meaning knowledge. Okay, so that is knowledge, basically Gnosticism. Within the Middle East, but outside their community, the Mandaeans are more commonly known as the Subba, or as Sabians. The term Subba is derived from an Aramaic root related to baptism. The term Sabians derives from the mysterious religious group mentioned 3 times in the Quran. Exactly. The name of this unidentified group, which is implied in the Quran to belong to the people of the book, was historically claimed by the Mandaeans as well as by several other religious groups in order to gain legal protection, dhimma, as offered by Islamic law. Are very interesting. So those might not be the Sabians that are mentioned in the Quran, but they're pretending to be. That's even more fascinating. As offered by Islamic law. Occasionally, Mandaeans are so-called Christians of Saint John. Very, very fascinating, man. The thing is, I heard that John the Baptist was, during his time, like a mega celebrity. All people knew about him. And this is why Christians later on tied a connection between John the Baptist and Jesus. There is a theory on that as well. And they kind of put words into his mouth that he was predicting Jesus to come. But in reality, they say that John was doing all kinds of miracles and that he was really revered as a prophet. That was even seen by some people as bigger than Jesus. Quite fascinating stuff, man. According to June Jacobson Buckley and other scholars who specialized in Mandaeism, Mandaeans originated about 2,000 years ago in the Palestine region. Everything originated there, man, and subsequently moved east due to persecution. Others claim a southwestern Mesopotamia origin. However, some scholars take the view that Mandaeism is older and dates back to pre-Christian times. Mandaeans assert that their religion predates Judaism, Christianity, and Islam as a monotheistic faith. Mandaeans believe that they are the direct descendants of Shem, Noah's son, in Mesopotamia. That is very interesting. What I would really like to know is the way that they see God. So basically, to cut it very, very short and simple, Christians, for example, say God is a Trinity, and within Islam we have Tawheed, which, in my opinion, is the purest form of monotheism there is. So now it would be very, very interesting to see how the Mandaeans see God. Let me see if we can find something. Beliefs. Mandaeism, as the religion of the Mandaean people, is based on a set of religious creeds and doctrines. The corpus of Mandaean literature is quite large and covers topics such as eschatology, the knowledge of God, and the afterlife. Principal beliefs. Recognition of one God known as Hay Rabbi. Hey Rabbi. Meaning the great life or the great living God. Okay, that's fine. Whose symbol is living water. It is therefore necessary for Mandaeans to live near rivers. God personifies the sustaining and creative force of the universe. Personifies the sustaining and creative force of the universe. Power of light, which is vivifying and personified by Malka Nura, King of Light. Malka. Another name of Hay Rabbi and the Uthras, angels of guardians that provide health, strength, virtue, and justice. The Drapsha is viewed as a symbol of light. Immortality of the soul, the fate of the soul, is the main concern with the belief in the next life, where there is reward and punishment. There is no eternal punishment since God is merciful. Yeah, that sounds very Islamic, I have to say. Not all, but most of it. However, I still want to understand how they see God. This is really fascinating to me, man. Okay. The Mandaean gnosis is characterized by 9 features which appear in various forms in other Gnostic sects. A supreme, formless entity, the expression of which in time and space is a creation of spiritual, etheric, and material worlds and beings. Production of these is delegated by it to a creator or creators who originated it. So this is basically the issue that I'm having here. Not saying that this is their belief, this is just Wikipedia, but it mentions to a creator or creators who originated it. And that is the main issue here, of course, because how do you reconcile this, right? They're talking about the first monotheistic religion, but then you do have a mentioning here of creators, which is obviously not monotheistic. The cosmos is created by archetypal man who produces it in similitude to his own shape. Huh? The cosmic man is an archetypal figure that appears in creation myths. Okay, so let me get this straight. God is a supreme formless entity. Yeah? The monad. And then you have the archetypal man. This is already a creation of God, I have to assume, or I hope so, right? So we're not talking about God being a man, but God creates an archetypal man that then in turn creates the cosmos. Okay. Dualism. is a cosmic mother and father, light and darkness, left and right, in cosmic and microcosmic form. Yeah, I do not adhere to dualism. You find dualism within the Buddhist theology as well, and I have my fair share of Buddhism. Ultimately, it is equivalent balance in the universe, opposing forces that are equivalent, right? But I don't believe in equivalent light and darkness. I don't believe in equivalence to God, because that would mean that God is the supreme goodness, and then you have the devil that is the supreme evil, and they're battling each other into eternity, and they're opposing forces. But that's really not how I see God. And Islam doesn't teach that either, right? God is supreme. He reigns supreme, and there's nothing like him, and nothing can compare to him or be any competition to him. Because with dualism, you basically have two gods. Even though you declare that there is one good God, and then there is the Satan, the bad God, that's literally what you say. You say the bad God, right? And therefore you have two gods that are battling each other into eternity. They are both kind of equally the future of dualism, countertypes that exist in a world of ideas. Okay, the soul is portrayed in exile, a captive, his home and origin being the supreme entity to which he eventually returns. Yeah, okay, this is like monism basically. Our soul, supreme reality, the supreme entity, and becomes one with it. Planets and stars influence fate. Monotheistic, and this is where Islam shines yet again. There's nothing as monotheistic as Islam, and once you realize that, you realize indeed Islam is monotheism, and all the other religions have a claim to monotheism, but they're just pretending. They're not really monotheistic. There's absolutely no chance. I mean, with Christianity it's quite simple to describe, of course, because Christianity is based upon a Trinity. Do I really need to say any more? Of course not, right? So within the Trinity you don't have a unity, and therefore it doesn't matter that there is one essence. Still, you're assuming that there are three persons that are co-equal, but at the same time they do have different attributes, such as the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Father begetting the Son, and the Son being begotten. All of this allegedly happening eternally through the Holy Spirit. But even within that concept, you have three distinctions, very, very harsh distinctions, that then cannot lead to a rational belief of saying those different types of personas are actually one God. That is such a contradiction within itself, and therefore we don't really have to go on a field trip here and talk about it in order to understand that, yes, Christianity claims to be monotheistic, but surely is not, right? And within Judaism, of course, you have a pretty pure monotheism, if you look into the Shema, etc., the declaration. But nevertheless, you have an anthropomorphism ultimately within Judaism as well, because God, he creates the world in 6 days and rests on the 7th day. And this has been adopted by the Christians as well. But ultimately, what does it mean, right? It means that God needs rest on the 7th day. So he might be a bit stronger than humans here, but nevertheless he needs rest. And that is again humanizing, right? And therefore is this really true monotheism then, if we're already comparing God to something in creation, let alone then that you have in Judaism the concept of God coming into human form and wrestling with David, right? And this is why I kind of find it funny, and please, Jews watching, correct me if I'm wrong here, but why are Jews so upset with Jesus being God's incarnation if God within Judaism incarnates as well? Right? So there you go. And therefore, no matter how you see this here, you look at it and ultimately it really boils down to that even if they make the claim, hey, listen, we are the Mandaeans, we are actually the first monotheistic religion. Monotheistic how? Right? Just because you say, hey, there is one God, fine, but that doesn't necessarily imply monotheism, because as I said, the Christians say as well, we are monotheists, and I grew up like that. For us it was crystal clear, hey, we're monotheists, duh. But are we really? If you see Jesus as God, you cannot be a pure monotheist. It's impossible. And then let alone the astral plane that they put in here, right? Number 6, they have a savior spirit or savior spirits, which assist the soul on his journey through life and after it, etc., etc. Yeah, there you go again. A cult language of symbols and metaphors, mysteries, sacraments. La-di-da-di-da-da. Great secrecy is enjoined upon initiates. Yeah, it's like a mystery religion. Yet again, that's basically what Gnosticism is, right? And nothing necessarily wrong with a mystery and something that only a specific group of people is ready to understand. Okay, well, so be it, it's fine. But on a mass scale, how can it be the truth of God if a common man cannot grasp it? So what I really love about Islam is the tenets are clear, the Shahada is clear, the practice is clear. Everybody can practice it. It's very, very simple. And then if you want to go down certain rabbit holes, you can, right? So if you want to go down, let's say, the intellectual route and you want to study, you can. If you want to go down the legal route and you want to study law, you can, no worries. If you want to enhance your prayer, you can, right? There's the mandatory prayers and then there's a sunnah prayer, etc., etc. You can pray as much as you want. You can perfect it, right? You can go to the mosque and be there every single prayer if you want to, right? And then there's a mystery in Islam as well, the mysticism, if you will. I know that many Muslims nowadays don't really agree with me on that point. However, I definitely see that Islamic mysticism played a humongous part within Islam and was mainstream as well for a very long time. And yeah, that is fine. If you want to dive into the mysteries, you can, but you don't have to. Right? You don't really have to dive deep in order to be a Muslim or in order to practice Islam. And that's the beauty of it. So your whole religion cannot be based upon mystery. That's impossible. Okay, let me read out the chats. And then, guys, let me double check as well with the time. We already added 1 hour, so let me give you a 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning, and then I'm going to be tuning out, inshallah. It has been 1 hour. I said it's going to be a short live stream today in order to check my internet connection, which failed tremendously. So yeah, 1 hour is the maximum, the limit today, and then I'm going to be tuning out. Okay. Where are we at? Okay, we have many new chats. 1 second. Javid donated again. Thank you very much. Javid says, what if you get a credit card and pay it off every month so there is no interest? I wouldn't know how that works, man, because I never used a credit card. Yeah, I only use debit card. And all I do is I use a Revolut card and I use a Wise card nowadays. And so I just transfer the money onto it and then I spend that and that's it. So I really have no idea how you can pay it off every month so there is no interest. I really don't know how that works. I am an absolute noob when it comes down to credit cards. Jesus, a Muslim, says Trinity is from the devil. I would agree. It's definitely just a man-made concoction, if you will. Jared says again, sometimes these credit cards have sign-up bonuses big enough to enjoy at least 1 business class flight. Oh, really? Wow, crazy. Emirates business class flight to Dubai is the ultimate flight experience from what I hear. Yeah, inshallah, one day, man. I would really love to fly business class and Emirates for that matter, because believe it or not, guys, I traveled the world, but I'm scared of flying. I hate flying. So my last flight was to Phuket and we hit tremendous turbulences and I thought, that's it, I'm dying. That's it. I recited Al-Fatiha as fast as I could. I really thought it's over, man. So yeah, flying, I just hate it. Nothing changed there. I really cannot stand it at all. Even a 1 hour flight is too long for me. However, I kind of trust the Emirates because they are really high-grade prime. And yeah, inshallah, one day we'll fly business class as well. I heard as well that's the prime experience. However, they have levels as well, right? It's not only business class, but they have this thing called the Game Changer. And there you get your own cabin with a bed, with a shower. It's crazy. So yeah, that would be nice. But I didn't know that you get that if you get a credit card. That's wild. Mayher S donated $2. Thank you very much. He says, for live streaming, censorship, free streaming and uploads, you can also use Odyssey. You can also use the Hive network. Okay, I haven't heard about Hive. Example website, Vigilante TV. By the way, Arabs will call you Aboud when your name starts with Abdul. Aboud. Okay, I didn't know that, man. That's interesting. As I said, for me, Abdul al-Haq is just the most beautiful name because the servant of truth. I don't like that it's so long. I wish it would be a bit shorter, but the meaning of it I really, really like. Anyways, that is it, guys. A really short stream tonight. I just want to reconnect with you guys and see if everything is up and running, because, yeah, we're still planning on getting a lot of guests onto the stream, but I don't want to stream and have an embarrassment ultimately where we invite somebody over here and then it doesn't work. That's why we are trying to fix the situation before we invite anybody, and then inshallah soon we will have people over. And that being said, we are still waiting, inshallah, for my daughter to be born. So after that, hopefully I will be more active. That being said, you can't really expect it either, because probably after my daughter is born, I'm going to be so smashed and I'm not going to be able to work as much, but we will see. We'll see. Anyways, we had another... Oh, excuse me, guys. I just want to tune out, but I see we have a bunch of more super chats here that I didn't see at all. So, okay. I'll stay back. Sorry. Berkey, donate $2. Thank you very much. Says, can you please watch J. Smith Facilities on Islam? I hate this guy. Okay, sure. Let me double check on YouTube. Hey, copy. What's his name? J. Smith. J. Smith Facilities. Weird name. Okay. I can't copy here. Fantastic. Let me type this. J. Smith Facilities. Islam. Okay. 7 years ago. I've seen this guy before, I believe. Fake prophet. Copied book. La-di-da-di-da-di. Cry me a river. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why the historical critique matters on Islam, J. Smith, the historical origins of Islam, radical Islam, webinar, Dr. J. Smith, understanding Islam, the life and work of Muhammad, introduction to Islam in the West, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Yeah, okay. I'll try to find a short video of his and then do a response, inshallah. Just so tiresome, you know? When I see quote-unquote Islamophobes, and I don't want to use the term, let's call them enemies of Islam. When I see enemies of Islam, the only answer I really have to them is suffer. Just suffer. Suffer now and suffer in hell. Very, very simple. So if you don't want Islam, Islam doesn't need you anyways. So just suffer in your degenerate ways. Who cares? Javid Donate again, thank you very much, brother. He says, DBZ, third from Perfect Cell, had the best theme. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan was awesome. Watching it now as an adult is still very emotional and complex. The cartoons now are soy compared to DBZ. Yeah, absolutely. Even though they made a reboot of Baki on Netflix, so there's a lot of testosterone and trembolone in that one. But other than that, absolutely, man. It just, as you said yourself, the complexity of Dragon Ball and the further increase of complexity, I think it peaked truly when it came down to the Cyborg saga with the time travel, etc., etc. Then later on with Boo, it was pretty cool as well, but Boo, it was based upon magic, and it wasn't as complex as the time travel with Trunks, for example. Ibrahim donated again, thank you very much. Ibrahim says, Islamic guidance videos, Abu Bakr, 35 minutes. Uthman, Ali, long but touching life stories, even teared up a bit at them, reaction or private does not matter. Sally, upright, virtuous, for he was a giant. Actually, that is a phenomenal idea. Thank you so much, brother, because I haven't really read much about the Sahaba, or have I ever reacted to the Sahaba truly on YouTube. So that would be actually amazing. It would be nice if we find a bit shorter videos, but 35 minutes... I might go through it, because the real thing is, anyways, nowadays on YouTube, I'm not responding to the whole video anymore. So I'm always cutting it up anyways, because otherwise YouTube will demonetize this channel again. So therefore, yeah, I might be able to do that, starting with Abu Bakr and going from there. Thank you very much. It's actually amazing. Javid Donate again, he says, in my opinion, the Frieza saga is the best. When Goku finally turned Super Saiyan, it was so epic. Yeah, of course. Vegeta's speech to Goku before Frieza kills him was so emotional. The Buu saga sucked. I wouldn't say that the Buu saga sucked, it was still alright, but I see what you're saying with the Frieza saga, when they kill Krillin. For me, the Frieza saga is epic as well because Piccolo teaches Son Gohan, right? So that bond for me was very emotional. But ultimately, still nothing can beat the Cyborg saga. For me, everything comes into the Cyborg saga. You have every component there is, right? You have the biggest muscles, you have the best drawing style, super edgy and just jacked, and you have the best fights, you have the best turn of events, Son Gohan, right, being the strongest of them all. You have Son Goku actually dying and being gone for good, at least for quite some time, right? As I said, you have the time travel, you have new, stronger beings than the Saiyans, which are cyborgs, artificial beings, and then you have the gene edited, if you will, gene created being, which is Cell, right? So yeah, honestly, nothing beats the Cyborg saga, no chance. Javid says, Dragon Ball, when Goku was a kid, it was sexual. I didn't get into those early episodes too much. I started when Raditz showed up in the Saiyan saga. Yeah, when Raditz shows up, that's Dragon Ball Z, so that is not Dragon Ball. And to be honest, the anime was censored, so therefore you would have to read the manga. And the manga itself, which is just a comic, I read the mangas first before watching the anime, and I have to say that the manga is a billion times better. Just alone for the fact that if you watch the animes, it just never ends. Like, just screaming for one episode. Takes ages and nothing is happening. So the manga is way faster paced. And yeah, it was very sexual. So Muten Roshi, he's always into his ladies' magazines. He's sneaking onto the toilet to see naked chicks actually peeing. Yeah, that's what's going on. So it's pretty dirty. You see boobs as well, panties under the skirt, etc., you name it. So yeah, very, very dirty, very sexual. Ibrahim donated $21. Thank you so much, brother, for the biggest donation for tonight, actually. Let me give you an applause. Here we go. 10 für den Sohnemann, Geschenkidee, Ball oder Hantel. 10 für das Töchterchen, inshallah. Alles verläuft ohne Probleme. Brainfork. In Schnuller oder Plüschtier vielleicht. Du wirst das schon entscheiden können. Ja, danke dir, Bruder, vom Herzen. Ja, danke dir, echt. So he just donated $20 basically. 10 for my son, 10 for the daughter. And he's making present ideas for the son, a ball or something. I think for $10 I can get more than a ball, bro. He's been asking for a fire truck. So I might get him a fire truck that actually can squish water. I think that's what he really wanted. That would be cool. And for the daughter, a niqab. Yeah, that would be great. Something like that. We'll see. Thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate it, man. The YouTube title is called Facilities of Islam. Alright, thank you very much, Berhan. I appreciate it. I'm going to check it out then. Wakamoko donated 130 SEK. Thank you so much, brother. Salam alaikum, Bobby. Alaikum assalam, my friend. And thank you very much. And you're going to be the last super chat today. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm a bit under the weather today. My nose is still stuck. I was a bit off the last week. But nevertheless, slowly but surely we're finding back here. Finding our groove yet again on YouTube. Was quite the hustle to get back into it. Especially after having to watch every word now here. The only way that you can really help, guys, is by liking the videos. It's really important. And comment under it, right? So every time I upload, even if you have nothing to say, it would tremendously help if you just post Salamu Alaikum, right? Whatever. Hi, hello, bye-bye. You can write anything. It really doesn't matter. It just helps for the algorithm to pick up this channel out of its fallen ashes. Ideally. And other than that, sure, if you can share it on Facebook, Telegram groups, something like that would be awesome as well. And other than that, yeah, as always, the links are in the description box. You can check them out. You can become a patron. That helps too. Becoming a patron helps tremendously because if we get demonetized again, then at least there is some security for me. But that being said, for the YouTube algorithm, Patreon doesn't do anything. So for the YouTube algorithm, you truly have to thumb up, share the videos, comment is super important. Otherwise, YouTube will just keep on burying it further under the algorithm for no one to find it ever again. One more super chat by Abu Selman, 25 SRR. Thank you very much. Do live stream with a Quran only Muslim or react to one? Yeah, that would be actually quite interesting because I have some questions to Quran only Muslims. And as I said, honestly, guys, I don't have a strong position yet. I'm a Muslim. That's it. Alhamdulillah. I was very skeptical of the hadiths at first. Nowadays, I'm not so skeptical about it any longer. And I was attracted to the Quran only stance. Nowadays, not so much anymore. I think that, yeah, it's a bit flawed in itself. We talked about that on the last live stream. If you make claims, for example, about Prophet Muhammad being the last messenger, being mentioned in the Quran, and being listed as a perfect example for us, then you cannot tell me that we should just read the Quran and nothing else. That doesn't make any sense either, right? So therefore, yeah, I would really like to have a Quran-only Muslim on the stream. Not for the sake of a debate or anything, honestly. Not swayed one way or the other 100%. I would be just asking questions and let them talk. I would find that interesting. Yeah, if anybody is there that want to come on the stream, again, not for a debate. I'm not here to point the finger and say, haha, Quran only doesn't work or something like that. Not at all. I've been a Muslim only for a few months. I'm here to learn. And I would be interested in your perspective, Quran only Muslims. So if you want to share it with me and your audience, my audience, then please write me via the links in the description box. And inshallah, we'll set it up. It'll be really interesting. Alright guys, but this is it for today. I'm tuning out now. I have to drink some tea and relax. And inshallah, we'll see each other soon. Tomorrow, inshallah as well, a new video. Alright guys, this is it. As always, may God bless you all. Much love and peace.